Hello, mindful friends. Today we're going to be talking about suffering avoidance and how that actually harms us more. So when we think about suffering avoidance, it's all the ways that we try not to experience the hard things in our lives, or to deny or hide from or not admit that we are going through something difficult, which in our society in particular, we've been kind of programmed to think that we should not have to suffer. And when we are experiencing pain or a bad day or hard emotions, we want to get out of them right away. And we want to have something that fixes it right away. So whether it's a pill for our body and the pain it's going through, whether it's a procedure, whether it's a distraction or a vice or coping, we need something to get us out of this hard feeling or emotion or experience immediately. We are kind of also told that there's kind of a stigma around being in a difficult place. That like, oh, what's wrong with you if you're experiencing this? Why can't you fix it? There's got to be something to fix it. So none of us want to just allow ourselves to move through the experience and find acceptance in it because we're so desperate to make it go away right away. So what are the kinds of things that we do to help ourselves avoid suffering? These are actually turned into destructive habits, believe it or not. The things that we do to try to avoid suffering become their own form of suffering. So they're the avoidance techniques. They're things like spending too much time on social media or watching TV, television, computers. They're taking drugs. They're alcohol. They're when we lash out at others or become violent or aggressive, trying to change the world around us quickly so that we don't experience the suffering anymore. And so these are kind of all of our ways of trying to get away from a difficult experience. But what happens when we engage in those too much? One, we become dependent, so we get a lot of dependencies, addictions to all kinds of things, sex, the drugs, the media, whatever it is, or they start affecting our lives negatively in other ways. We also build up a tolerance. So because they start serving us, one, maybe they work a little less, or maybe our actual tolerance of pain or discomfort becomes slowly lower and lower. So we think we need these things more and more. So instead of actually serving us and helping us to not experience suffering, they create their own suffering loop. So how do we get out of this? How do we stop this cycle? Well, we build a healthier relationship with discomfort or suffering, hard emotions. We build healthier ways of being with them, and we recognize that this is normal. It's gonna happen where you struggle in life, where you go through hard things, where you get sick, where you have moments or times that you're down in the dumps. And instead of putting the pressure on yourself and the judgment that says you should never feel sad, or you should not be stuck in this bad mood, or your body should not be unwell, we say, this is a part of life. How can I move through this, holding my awareness, holding my mindful presence, so that there's this kind of nurturing, supporting self that comes in to help the struggling self, but you allow both to be there. So instead of kind of taking away all of our awareness and going into a numb state, which is what our vices help us to do, we come into a more aware state. We want to bring presence to the struggle, to the suffering, so that there's that, the presence of mindfulness, or whatever it is, our self-care, our faith, our spirituality, comes in and holds us, is there with us at that time that we're suffering. And we don't try to run from it. We don't try to hide it or cover it up. We are present with it. And what this helps us to do is that we grow. We grow and we learn in this. We observe what's happening to us. We recognize that it's hard, but there's a part of us that's still aware and able to nurture through it. So listening, what do you really need here? What would really support you here? And it's things, like eating a little bit healthier, or let's go for a walk, or maybe we just do need some time resting and being with. And also the acceptance, like it's okay that you're having a hard day. That's all right. And what do you need within that? So recognizing who's it going to turn you into. So how, what's that going to make more difficult with your work and your relationships? And how can you support yourself through that so that you can feel it, let it have a presence in your life, and yet not affect negatively everything in your experience or your day-to-day life. So we want to be able to allow it to be there, which is the first kind of step. And that's the step that everybody wants to avoid with the pills, with the alcohol, with the media, with sex, with anything that they can, the explosions. I don't want to be present with it. So the first kind of healing thing is be present with it. It's okay. And of course, there are traumas, there are things that are really hard for people to be present for, that you're going to need support with to do. It's not something that, obviously cut everything out and just be present with it. Bring your supports in, but no, that's what you want to kind of move towards with a mindfulness practice. It's the ability to be present with. And then the more present you are with it, the more accepting you are of it being there, that this too belongs. Now, the more capable you are of knowing how to nurture it, understanding what it needs, and using the experience to learn more about yourself. What brought this up? What caused it? What's going to help me to nurture myself back into a state of well-being and stay there? But if we just do avoidance, we just take pills, we just hide from it, we never get to the learning stage, because we can't learn from something that we don't go through, we don't meet, we aren't present with. So that's kind of the first approach to not avoiding suffering. So finding that acceptance and knowing like it's okay that this is here. And what do I need to be okay with that? Of course, after that, there's many more steps, which maybe we'll cover at another time. Where do you go once you can be present with it? But just thinking about for now and this week, how do I avoid suffering? What are those kind of habits I've gotten stuck in to avoid suffering? And what can I do to become more comfortable moving through and being present with instead of running away from? If you enjoy these talks and would like to join us for a group session or individual coaching, you can find us at newleafmindfulness.com. If you have questions or comments, please leave them below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I hope to see you all very soon.